Hello, Tashidele. I hope everyone is doing fine. And welcome back for the session. Yeah, so as usual, we start with short breathing meditation, just to bring ourselves in the present moment. Then take a few moments to cultivate refuge, refresh your refuge practice. Try your very best to feel the presence of Guru Buddha Dhamma Sangha, surrounded by all the 10 direction Buddha Bodhisattvas and its retinues. Try your best to use inner eye to see them all in a very delighted form, seeing their spiritual child, yourself, diligently, cultivating the teachings, the example of the refuge, Guru Buddha Dhamma Sangha, in your life, in your very best way. And obviously seeing, very committed to continue to be consistent in the following of Guru Buddha Dhamma Sangha's example and their teachings, in remaining moments and lives until one actualizes the state of perfection in all the qualities, just like the object of refuge possess. So feel from your heart that refuge or the merit field, witnessing this, seeing this, and this become the most marvelous offerings of practice, service to all the refuge and merit field. Also, to understand that you have offer even though just you, one person, but bring immense of contributions of peace, happiness, protection to the world and to the entire numberless sentient beings through your commitments and through your practices. You can feel like all the Buddhas, all the object of refuge and merit feel in one voice, endorsing that this is the ultimate practice. This is the best practice. This is the best service and offerings to all the venerables, object of offerings, object of respect. And it is also best gift, best charity, best help to the rest of the numberless mother sentient beings. And this is so true, and this is definite, not just in the word, but in actual action. Just even for a moment, one individual abiding in virtues, reframing oneself, engaging in non-dharma, non-virtues. The rest of the numberless sentient beings, definitely, without doubt, get the benefit. Even it is just one virtue, one dharma of reframing from causing life of others in the name of Buddha, in the name of Guru, in the name of Dharma, in the concern of the well-being of that particular one sentient being. Even just that one single action makes the world safer, makes the world a better place. The entire sentient being, receive the protection, danger to their life, like that. So this is the reason why refuge and merit fields are so pleased and bless our heart, because this is all about what means of being Buddha. That is all about what means by being spiritual guru. That is whole message of Dharma. That is the whole reason the preservations of the individual liberation vows, even for the example, the Sangha in example. Yeah, so feel, try to express joy in your heart with these reasonings. And feel motivated, to observe more virtues again, reframe more non-virtues again in coming moments, coming days, in coming lives. And this is really the meaning of life. And this is the reason to be happy, to be rejoiced, to be celebrated, your life. So with this blessed heart, then reinforce the altruistic attitude, the motivation that you already have, nurture more, make it more solid, more vivid, more stable, more spontaneous. Starting from this very session, fully dedicating for the benefit of numberless sentient beings, temporary happiness up to the ultimate happiness of enlightenment. 산이 주던 소지 선언을 자주 봐도 다는 게 소지 다게치 소지에 손남기 돌아 벤지 산이 두 가지 산이 주던 소지 주 자주 봐도 다는 게 소지 다게치 소지에 돌아 벤지 산이 두 가지 산이 주던 소지 주는 자주 봐도 다는 게 소지 다게치 소지에 돌아 벤지 산이 두 가지 심제 탐지 대화다 대외 주다 때문에 심제 탐지 동화다 동화지 주다 심제 탐지 동화에 대화다 미라와 주지 심제 탐지 일이 주다 이다 다녀라 semje damje dewa dan dewe ju dan tembar ju semje tamje tunga ta tunga ji ju dan tawa ju semje tamje tunga me dewa da semje damje nyere cha dan ni dan da be dan yola ne bar ju semje damje dewa dan dewe ju dan tembar ju semje damje tunga me be dewa da mi dawa ju semje tamje nyere cha dan ni dan da be dan yola ne bar ju 돈이 이제 손도 주베라 제제세 주 가게 되려 천하 배만 되는 게 소원돼서 다 주지. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so we will continue from the same text, Seichibuchi Gyanzen's commentary on 7-point thought transformation. And we are at page 98. On last session, we cover the, taking the adversities onto the path to enlightenment. And I hope that, for the past days, as a homework, as we practice using, this teaching to help ourselves and help those around us, and help all the numberless sentient beings, at least through our motivation, intention, motivation, and mindfulness and dedication on the true altruistic attitude, the bodhicitta and the emptiness wisdom that infused by bodhicitta. So I hope that with that wisdom of Dharma, I hope that you had a good week before. Yeah. For myself, yes, it is very helpful, but also fail terribly many times. But then at least because of taking as a homework, at least there's a focus towards this practice. And due to that, the day goes by, your heart, your mind become more habitual, so that the antidote, this is the practice of taking, sufferings, adversities onto the path to enlightenment become more frequent, slight, spontaneous to your heart. And I think that is the result of the homework. Otherwise, just receiving the teaching and just reading the text once or twice, in actual action, it's very hard to be able to implement. First thing is our minds are already, occupied or already disturbed by the adversities. So there's no room to remember these teachings, unless we have a strong habitual, strong training, strong homework. So then, even though we're able to remember the antidotes, but then, or this practice, but then so hard to apply, so hard to, so hard to apply the antidote, because the adversities, the force is taken so strongly. So with the help of consistent homework helps, and that very clearly can see day goes by, that you become slightly better. So these are the practice that that we should take all the time, every time, until that we are absolutely free from the disturbances from delusions and the karmic consequences. Yep. So today, today we will the heading, recognizing your own self as the enemy. So we will go through that. So here the your own self is not referring to not referring as a person. The self is the self that which knowing and understanding and taking as enemy is the self-grasping attitude, the self-grasping misconception, the self-grasping, the wrong view towards the self, the misunderstanding towards the self, the self-grasping ignorant. That is the one it's referring to. Not talking about you should regard yourself as enemy. This conventional person as an enemy. It is not regarding that. That self is a sentient being. Is object of our compassion, object of our care. You see. So therefore, the self is referring to from the subjective point of view, which is the self-grasping ignorant, as very clearly stated in Nagarjuna's 70 stanzas. The ignorant, not knowing the absolute truth, brings about all the links of the 12 interdependent samsaric existence. Knowing the absolute reality, which is the emptiness, of self, brings about the liberation. So I think in the text, it says like that. So Nagarjuna's 70 stanza on emptiness. The teacher said that ignorance is the conception that in reality things are produced from cause and condition. From this, the 12 factors arise. Through seeing reality, you know that things are empty. Ignorance does not arise. This is the cessation of ignorance. Because of this, the 12 factors cease. When ignorance is just, then the following verses are from the Nagarjuna's fundamental treatise. When ignorance is stopped, compositional activity will not arise at all. That which stop ignorance is knowing and meditating on reality. By stopping this and that earlier factor of dependent arising, this and that later factor will not arise. In this way, you thoroughly stop the whole mass of sufferings. Buddha Palita's Nagarjuna's commentary on the fundamental treatise says, seeing what is not real, you are bound in samsara. Seeing the real, you are free. You actualize the liberation. So, so the in first place, taking adversities on the path to enlightenment came about. That came about because of there is adversities, there is a sufferings. You see, and where those sufferings, where those adversities comes in our way, it is comes in our way with it is right cause, and those right cause are the self-grasping attitude and the rest of the delusions. Those sufferings and adversities are byproduct of negative karmic imprint. The negative karmic imprints are creation of the delusions like 22nd tree delusions, like 84,000, false, 22nd tree delusions, six root delusions. Then these delusions are very much byproduct of the ignorant, the self-grasping attitude. You see, the false views on the self. So the root cause of all the suffering that we do not wish to experience is byproduct of self-grasping attitude. So due to this reason, self-grasping attitude is regarded as the main or sole enemy, and no one else, except the wrong view on the self, the self-grasping ignorance is the main cause or the enemy. So by recognizing this, then only there's a possibility to eliminate the enemy, and that way can eliminate the causes of the suffering and adversities. That way can able to eliminate or eradicate the entire form of samsara. You see, so in order to catch the thief, in order to know who stole the things, first you need to catch the thief, isn't it? So similar way, who stole our happiness? Who stole the full free expressions of the clear light, the fundamental our being? Who stole the actual freedom of the Buddha nature that inborn, the Dharmakaya that inborn within us? Is already, we have that potential, we have that freedom, we have the freedom, we have the potential to express that freedom. But that freedom, that expressions of freedom is stole. So who stole that? Is self-grasping attitude. The self-grasping ignorance is the one that who stole that. You see. So therefore, by recognizing the self-grasping as an enemy, then by eradicating that, we gain back the free expressions of the Dharmakaya within, free expressions of the Buddha nature within, Buddha potential within, so that we can able to manifest gradually all the Buddha's qualities, So everything starts from that free expression, you see. And as long as self-grasping is not detained, there's no freedom. The obstructions are always there. So for that reason, the text says, as for the reason why your own self is enemy, this is presented by the following line. Banish all blame to the single source. Banish all blame to the single source. Okay. Banish, eradicate blames. Up to today, whatever suffering, whatever problem comes in our way in relation to overall problem in the world, environmentally, or in the being, all the problems, all the difficulty that comes in relation to either families or friends or strangers or enemies or animals, and all the problems and complaints that in relation to our inner environment, the physical health, the mental health, every difficulty in relation to our work, relationship, weather, etc. All these blames should blame onto the single source, which is self-grasping, ignorant. No one else. So it is very much totally different from how we used to, behave in relation to this adversities comes in our way. We usually blame to someone else. We blame to the weather. We blame to people, etc., etc. It's very much we blame outside. There's some sense of creator out there to bring about all these difficulties into our life. But in actual reality, from slight problem to the biggest problem of the overall pervasive suffering of samsara is very much, it is absolutely byproduct of that single source, which is self-grasping ignorant. So I will continue from the text. So this line present the perceiving of your own self as enemy. Whatever calamities befall you, without blaming others, you should think, this is due to my own self-grasping. So this is the the teaching emphasized us to think like this. In this manner, scatter all the accusations fomenting within yourself. So this way, at least the root cause of the problem start to get affected to losing its strength, you see. And not only that, it helps to prevent accumulating more conditions to the trouble, more conditions to the suffering. Since you are not accusing or blaming any other sentient beings or anything else other than the real cause of the problem, you see. And blaming to that is in fact, it is a wisdom. Blaming the self-grasping as a cause of the problem is in fact is a wisdom. So it doesn't create any negative imprints. But blaming to others, then the self-grasping ignorant, it creates negative imprint, and that negative imprint is called the negative karma. Again, it is the cause of suffering. So you see, so like that. So in this manner, scatter all the accusations from fomenting within yourself. It has been taught. So it has been taught in the teaching, like these verses, following verses. Whatever harm exists in the world, whatever danger and suffering are in the world, all of this arise from grasping at self. What use is the great demon for me? If there is self, recognition of others arise. On this division of self and others, grasping and anger arise. And in relation to these two emotions, all calamities comes into beings. So whatever harm exists in the world, as mentioned before, whatever danger, the sufferings are in the world, as mentioned before, all of these arise from the grasping at self. So grasping at self, you see, the either misinterpreting or misunderstanding or misapprehending I as a true existing, or I as an intrinsic existing on my aggregates, on any of the aggregates or overall on the aggregates. So that is the self-grasping. You see, so there are many different, ways and levels of grasping. Misapprehending that overall this physical body as I, and that misapprehension carries the inherent existence, intrinsic existence, true existence on the physical aggregates as I. That is the self-grasping attitude. In relation to the Pasangika Madhyamika's view, inherent I as a true existence, I as a true existence on the basis, I as a true existence on the substantial basis of the person, and seeing that as a person and grasping that as a person, apprehending that as a person, is the self-grasping attitude, the self-grasping ignorant. And that close the door to the reality, the real self, the real I, the definite I, the existent I. You see, as long as I has to be exist on the basis of substantial or inherent, substantial or substantial basis, then there's no room to actualize merely label I. As long as there's no existing or merely label I, then there's no room to actualize interdependent existent I. You see, there's no absolute, genuine, interdependent existent I. If there's no interdependent existent I, then there's no way that you can able to establish that legitimately existent I that has the capability to eradicate all the sufferings and its causes, and able to actualize the absolute freedom of liberation. You see, so even to the earlier philosophical school, even though like such as Chittamatra, do not assert substantially existent on the object, but still the I has to be established on the basis of aggregates, the seven mental continuum, the mind basis of all mind basis of all regarded as an example of the person. And that mind basis of all is very much expressions of the imprint of the mind. And that mind is true existent mind. You see, so the I is expressions of true existing subject, the mind. So again, if that's the case, then as mentioned earlier, there's no form of legitimate establishment of actual existent I, that who has the capability to eradicate the entire false and actualize the absolute freedom. You see, so so the grasping of self. So the word is very famous. Grasping. It has many degrees of grows to the subtle grasping, and referring to the four philosophical schools presentations of the negation of the no self helps to see the clarity of the gross self-grasping to the subtle self-grasping. So if you go through eliminating, when first to recognize what is the self-grasping, first try to recognize the gross one. You can refer to the Vaibhashika and Sautantika's presentation. Then you go to the Chittamatra. Then you go to the Sautantika. Then you go to the Pasankika. Within Sautantika also got divisions. Pasankika also got it is own subtle and grows to the subtle. So that way, then we reach to the actual 100% understanding of the entirety of what really the self-grasping is. You see, like that. So you see, so generally, without relating to the philosophical view, generally, for us to understand through our experiences what self-grasping is, the expressions of like anger, attachment, jealousy, pride, depression, all these are the different phases of self-grasping. You see, and anger also got grows to the subtle. Jealousy also got grows to subtle. Attachment got grows to subtle, and that we know. We know. There are certain state of attachment is unexpressible even in the word. It's so subtle. It's there. The sternness in your heart is there in relation to desire, but then there's no word to express. It can go all the way to that subtle. You see, all these are labels of different labels of expressions of self-grasping. So, so in one of can make this statement that one of the main effort of learning Dharma is to be able to find the entirety and a correct characteristic of self-grasping attitude, so that you can able to eliminate that, eradicate that, because that is the single source of all the problem. Because why we practice Dharma is to be liberated from suffering, isn't it? Why we want to achieve liberation is to actualize the freedom from suffering, isn't it? Why we want to actualize Buddhahood is to actualize freedom from the suffering, isn't it? You see. So since that is the case, then we have to understand what is self-grasping. What is self-grasping ignorance is. You see. So when you see, so when we purify the self-grasping attitude or self-grasping ignorant, it is start with eradicating the ignorant towards the self-identity. But the formation of the self-grasping into our attitude is start from the grasping to the phenomena. You see. So now here, eradication, the self-grasping of person and self-grasping of phenomena, the eradication start first is self-grasping to the person. Then gradually you eliminate self-grasping to others by other phenomena, starting from self-grasping attitude towards our form, mental aggregates, and rest of the phenomena. But the formation, the existence came into the self-grasping existence came into our being is not started from grasping to the self-identity. First started from grasping to the objects. You see, so as Nagarjuna stated in the Precious Garland, then other treatises, as long as there's a grasping to the form or a grasping to the object, there is a grasping to the self. You see, so therefore, ultimately, in order to eradicate the totality of self-grasping, you need to eliminate the grasping, the self-grasping to the objects. You see, so therefore, in order to realize perfect wisdom or perfect emptiness of selflessness, we need to realize the selflessness of phenomena also. You see, so just realizing selflessness of person is not good enough to realize absolute emptiness. You see, in order to realize absolute emptiness, you need to realize the emptiness of the phenomena, which is the aggregates. You see, so even though the individual realizes selflessness of the self-identity, but still have not clarified the grasping towards the form, physical form or mental aggregates or whatever, then the subtle grasping is still remain. You see, so therefore, one realize degrees of wisdom of selflessness, the emptiness of selflessness, but have not realized the absolute realizations on the emptiness of self. Until as long as one not realize emptiness of the phenomena. You see, so phenomena is like overall phenomena, but here phenomena referring to the basis. You see, the basis of the person. Of course, the basis of person, in obvious point is referring to the five aggregates. But then generally, in general understanding, the basis can also include the rest of the outer phenomena. Because when you go to examine where is the self, when you go and find the non-existent or non-existent of the hallucinated self, the basis are you find within entire aggregates or individual aggregates, and also without, without the rest of the other phenomena. You see, so therefore, when you actualize emptiness of phenomena, then you actualize emptiness of all. You see, otherwise, just realizing the emptiness of self is not sufficient. So, in relation to that, based on the Pasangika Madhyamika, the earlier philosophical schools' view on emptiness of self, even for Chittamatra, Saudantika, they have not realized the absolute emptiness. Therefore, they still carry the obstacle to the absolute liberation. You see, and no questions about the Vaivasika and Saudantika school, to realizing the absolute emptiness. You see, so in relation to on the basis of if you base on the Saudantika Madhyamika, if you base on the Pasangika Madhyamika, which is the Nagarjuna's emptiness view, or Lama Tsongkhapa, the Chandrakirti, Buddha Palita, based on their view, which is absolute view, which is Pasangika view, in order to actualize, the wisdom of Arya being, then no question about, in order to actualize liberation, legitimate liberation, even Hinayana liberation, you must actualize the emptiness of the phenomena. You see, so you see, like that. So earlier school, especially Vaivasika school, the earliest school, they don't even talk about the emptiness of phenomena. They only talk about the emptiness of no self. They only talk about selflessness. They don't even use the particular name called emptiness. You see, so so like that. But reason for all this philosophical view to be present there, it is beneficial. Even these great Nalanda Pandits, they themselves choose in a certain positions on this philosophical view, mainly to grill, through the hardness of this, the ignorance of grasping, to able to find, to bring able to assistance to the knowing of, to the clearing of the layers of the thickness of ignorance. You see, so that's why, as I mentioned before, when we think about self-grasping attitude, we need to think very, very, very broadly. Not just like I want grasp. That alone is not good enough. You see, and that alone is not good enough. You see, so like that. For all this arise from the grasping itself. What use is this great demon for me? Very obvious, isn't it? If self-grasping attitude being useful for us, by today, we won't be being as a samsaric sentient being. By now, we at least must have achieved Arya being, or at least, or maybe already Buddha. The reason why we are still having all the trouble of physical health, mental agitations, environmental difficulties, all these things are because of we always being service to self-grasping, service to this self-grasping ignorant. We've been pleasing self-grasping ignorant up to now. We've been following the guidance the guide of self-grasping ignorance. Whatever we do in our day-to-day life, very much, accordingly with the needs and the demand of self-grasping, fulfilling the needs and demand of self-grasping ignorant. You see, when we when we react, negatively towards when anger arises, attachment arises, we are servicing, self-grasping ignorant. We are supporting self-grasping. We are trusting self-grasping ignorance. You see. Whenever we see faults, whenever we arise anger and see faults of anger, and apply antidote, and that's the time that we at least, staying certain distant from self-grasping ignorant. You see. So since our ultimate purpose, ultimate wanting is freedom from all the suffering and its causes. As a non-believer, as a theist believer, as a believer of karma, like Buddhists, whatever position we take in our belief, every one of us are pursuing happiness, pursuing freedom from problem, misery. You see, that's one goal. You see, so even Buddhists, whether the follower of Sarvaka and Patyaka Buddha's path, or follower of Mahayanic path, or Mahayanic Sutrayana path, Mahayanic Tantrayana path. Within Tantra, either you're practicing lower Tantra or highest yogic Tantra, the goal is the same: to eradicate the suffering and actualize freedom, the liberation. You see. So since that is the case, what obstructs us until today? We are unable to achieve liberation, unable to actualize the path, because of we never stay separated from self-grasping ignorance. We never apart from the support to self-grasping and its works, its demands. You see, so that obviously shows that how much trouble that we have to go through, and that is so clear that self-grasping attitude is what is the use? It is a great demon for me. What is the use? It is a demon. It is a demon, and what it has use for us, isn't it? It's very clear. So if there is a self, then recognition of other arise. In a conventional attitude, then the moment that you hold this, grasping, the self-grasping towards its basis, these five aggregates, either whole or either one, doesn't matter, is like a personal belonging, total separation from any others. As long as you have that grasping, then recognition of other arises. Then the self-cherishing, you see, because of the self-grasping, then self-cherishing arises. When the self-cherishing arises, then there's a separation, the self and other arises. You see. On this division of self and other, grasping and anger arises. You see. So because of the self-grasping, then self-cherishing attitude arises. Because of the self-cherishing attitude, then if things that does not please self-cherishing and self-grasping, then anger arises. If things that it is own demand accordingly, then attachment arises. You see, then rest of the others and rest of the events are like completely unutilized. It's ignored. So all the three different delusions will arise. So we have discussed, I think, before, three virtues three beings and the three delusions to be eradicated, isn't it? So all no room for three virtues of no attachment, no anger, no ignorance, is because of still holding on to the mistaken view of self-grasping attitude. You see, because of that. And in relation to these two emotions, all calamities comes into being. Because of the self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude, then all the negative emotions will arise, and those negative emotions will create abundance of negative karma, and through that, and all the calamities, comes in our being. Recognizing myself as a flaws, and others as oceans of higher qualities, I will thoroughly discard grasping at self and practice embracing others. So the way to overcome, this demon of self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude is to recognize the faults of self-grasping. First recognize the faults of self-grasping. You see, so there are plenty of gross faults because of self-grasping. Of course, anger arises, attachment arises, that stir our inner peace, etc. Obviously, but because of this, the one of the faults, the one of the subtlest faults is inherent grasping inherently is the faults of self-grasp. Is faults of the follow self, and recognizing myself as a flaw means recognizing the recognizing what do you call the apprehending mind, recognizing the apprehending mind has the flaw of inherent existence. Recognizing the apprehending mind has a flaw of intrinsic existence, permanent existence. Dualistic existence. So all these are different flaws. So when we say recognizing myself as a flaw, is to recognize all this. Beside recognizing like the anger, attachment, rest of the delusion. And others as oceans of higher quality. Others. So others here also, if you interpret from the subjective point of view, then talking about cherishing the well-being of others, the cherishing, the altruistic mind, the great compassion, or the altruistic attitude. You see, so seeing the qualities of the great compassion, seeing the qualities of altruistic attitude, you see, is the way to overcome the self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude. So the quality, even it refer to the qualities of the compassion. It helps to bring a genuine, the highest level of renunciation to the samsara discourses. And the qualities of the altruism is the root cause, is the main path, to the ultimate liberation of full enlightenment, which is not only beneficial for yourself, but also beneficial for all sentient beings. It has that much qualities. It's like wish fulfilling, wish granting joy. Like in Shantideva's, teachings on Bodhicitta, Bodhisattva talks about, and a precious garland talks about all the qualities of altruism. All these are the qualities of, quality, what he is saying. The others has an oceans of higher qualities, higher qualities. All the way, the cherishing to others will bring the result of even the Buddhahood, which is the highest quality. The higher quality beneficial for self is because of the altruism, you will achieve the two form body. Nimanakaya and the Sambhopakaya body is the Nimanakaya and Sambhopakaya body is the highest quality that you can achieve for the benefit of others. The highest quality, the benefit for yourself, is the Dharmakaya, the emptiness body of the Buddha. You see, that's the absolute cessation from all the defilement. The Dharmakaya state of the Buddhahood is the highest quality of yourself. And these two major quality is achieved due to the cultivation of altruism, altruistic attitude. And that altruistic attitude is rooted by the great compassion, which is in concern of the well-being of others, which is what really means the cherishing attitude to others' well-being. You see, like such as the ornament of clear realization talks about, the compassion as important as a beginning, as a seed, in the middle as a water, as end as a result, the fruition. You see, so the great compassion is that. So great compassion has that quality. You see, I will thoroughly discard grasping at self. So with through above two causes or the reasoning, seeing faults on the self-grasping and seeing qualities on the others, will thoroughly able to discard self-grasping attitude and able to practice perfectly the attitude of altruism, the attitude of altruism, which is the beneficial for self and others ultimately. Okay, so I will continue. Read. Reflect all shortcoming and defect I may possess origin from my grasping at selfhood, from beginningless time. From beginningless time, I have held onto a self when there was none. You see, so self-grasping is a false idea because it has never existed there, from very beginning. So it's just a false idea. Whenever I was born, through there was no self. I have grasped at my body as the basis of my selfhood. So you see, whenever I was born, through there was no self. So, as I mentioned before, as long as there's a grasping to the phenomena, like aggregates, then there is a self-grasping. So this is the reason. When I was born, there were no self, but I have a grasp at my body as the basis of my selfhood. Even though you regard as a basis of your selfhood, but then the actual misunderstanding carry on is, overall, it's the basis itself is the absolute existence of the self. You see, self either part of it, or self is either no different from or whole. That belief, that mistaken belief, is the one that we carry, as ignorant. So therefore, one very important point, as I mentioned before, if we genuinely want to eradicate the self-grasping ignorance, then we need to eradicate the grasping ignorance to its basis, the form, etc. Taking it aside, I have resorted to rejection, affirmation dependent on whatever I demand, something desirable or undesirable. So yeah. So because of the self-grasping, so the liking, disliking, rejection, affirmation, everything is come about. In this manner, I have committed all three deceptions, duplicity and diverseness towards others, and as a consequence, have accumulated afflictions and negative karma over and over again. So this is the actual play of samsara. All are by result actual play of samsara, actual phases of samsara, which is a play of self-grasping ignorance. So this has compelled me since beginningless time to endure the incalculable suffering of silent existence in general and immeasurable suffering of the three lower realm in particular. So because of that, all the suffering, including falling into three lower realms, everything is due to the self-grasping ignorance. Still as stated in the following, although countless eons have passed with such great hardship, you have sought only suffering. So it's referring to the self-grasping ignorant. You see, countless eons have passed. Still, I'm in samsara. Have a great hardship. When all the cycles. Even we happen to be born as a precious human rebirth, suffering of birth, suffering of aging, sickness, death is such a great hardship, you see. And we have taken such rebirth numberless times, you see. So all these are due to the ignorant, self-grasping ignorant. You only brought sufferings, you see, not even one single form of genuine happiness. So long as I fail to view the self as enemy, so long will I continue to seek the well-being of the self. Consequently, I will accumulate negative karma that will compel me in the future to wander in this infinite cyclic existence, where I will suffer even more and for longer than before. So while we are obtained with this precious human intelligence, precious human rebirth, particularly, like us, our precious human rebirth, all the quality, the leisure and I would say the freedoms are 100%, exist within us. You see, we not only just meeting Dharma, we meet the complete Dharma and greatest Dharma, Mahayanic Dharma, in particular, like teaching like Lojong, like that. So while we have all these favorable conditions, if we unable to see the faults of self-grasping attitude and unable to eradicate that, and we still continue to believe in self-grasping's demand and follow, the suffering and the consequences that we're going to experience in the future times is far more greater suffering, far more greater intensity than the suffering and hardship that we experienced in countless eons in the past. So this is what it's saying. I have experienced in the beginningless cycle of existence. No one else has done the killing. No one else has done the killing. What's say? Since this self has been my own executioner and my enemy from beginningless time, then in all the deaths I have experienced in the beginningless cycle of existence, no one else has done the killing. You see, so numberless eons of life that we have taken, and in particular numberless lives of animals. Those are victim of others causing life. No one else caused their life, but the main reason is the self-grasping ignorance because of that. You see, so if we don't purify this self-grasping this time, then in eons of future rebirths, more rebirth we likely will take in the lower realms, like animal, like that. Then encounter, this like in the human face, we see, numberless animals are slaughtered, victim of humans' food, killed, like that, So if we really want to stop that, then we need to eradicate the self-grasping ignorant. If we want to help and stop others are suffering these consequences, which are also a result of the self-grasping ignorance, then we need to develop the cherishing of that others' well-being. That way, there will be more bodhisattvas, more Buddhas, more help that sentient being will receive. That way, there will be, more efficient to the ending of the suffering in every single sentient being. Rather, I have been killed by my own self, as if biting your lower lips. So it's like that. Firmly hold your own self as an enemy. So that reason, you must hold, from now on, hold the self-grasping ignorant as an enemy. Hold that firmly. Where is this enemy? So if you ask where is this enemy, it is in your own heart. You see. So earlier, the clarification, when we talk about self, is not talking about the person, it's talking about the idea, the false view. You see, so that answer here, where is this enemy? It is in your own heart. So it is your attitude, the ignorant attitude. You see, ignorant grasping. You see, so that is the enemy, and that is the self. As Shantideva said, for example, if this ancient enemy long settled, the sole cause of steadily increasing host of harms has found its home within my very heart. How can there be joy for me within this silent existence? Like that. So, so I'll continue to read. Think that this kind of behavior, living on the head, yet not giving victory to the eyes, is most inappropriate. So think like this. So thinking that this kind of behavior, the behavior of self-grasping attitude, living on the head, as an idea, as a false view, not giving victory to the eyes, the wisdom of the wisdom of emptiness is most inappropriate. You see, so we have the capability of the wisdom, and we have to utilize it. Through the wisdom of knowledge, learning on the emptiness, then wisdom of reasoning, contemplation, then wisdom of meditation has to actualize and overcome, eradicate the misbehaviors of all the delusions that is very much function of the the lead of self-grasping ignorant. If we don't do that, then that is the most inappropriate someone that who made the teaching like Lojong, who made the teaching of emptiness, who made the teaching of Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, etc. Lama Tsongkhapa, you see. So while we have this fortune, we are still not using our ability of wisdom eyes, then that is most shameful, most inappropriate. Thus, the focus on the side of this self-grasping, which is the source of all defect, is the very body you are born into. Yeah. So even this samsaric existence, is very much, as it's already said before, like what Nagarjuna says, the ignorant is the one that which bring about this traveling of interdependent samsaric existence, you see. So therefore, what you have now is byproduct of self-grasping ignorant. Since beginningless lifetime, you have held on to an I when there was none, and have held on to a self when there was none. You see, so I. You have held on to an I, the identity, the I, inherently appearing, inherently, appearing from the object side, or from the basis. There's no such. There's no such existence there, and that I, that false identity, then you grasp as a self. You see, and that false identity, that which either you establish on physical aggregates, or that you establish on the mental aggregates, or even So wherever, even the non-Buddhist, self created by divine, you apprehend, there is a inherent I, in whether you mention or not, there is a you establish inherent I, because the perception is false. False in what? False in inherent. So the perception may not able to express or interpret or understand it is inherent, but when the perception apprehend, when the perception perceive I on any basis, is the hallucination is the inherent hallucination. You see, so on that basis, then you grasp as a self, me, that me as a self. Mm-hmm. So since beginningless lifetime, you have held on to an I when there was none, and have held on to the self when there was none. Self-grasping is fraught with defect, and it has a source of all suffering. So again, fraught because it's hallucinational expression. It's not real one. Defect because it has the defect of, shortcoming of all the faults. The negative karmas are the shortcoming of it. Because of that, then it becomes source of all the sufferings. So to cherish, look at and protect this discolored human corpse, a lump of pus and blood and sack of mucus is like carrying a bag of thorn on your back while naked. So it's like that. Happiness could result if you let go. You see, so you let go the grasping. You see, let go the grasping. And the way to let go, only way to able to let go is to see the faults. See the faults on in relation to self. See the faults on the how the I is established. See the faults on the how the self is actualized. You see, by the characteristic of the hallucination, by the characteristic of the defects that it brings about, by the characteristic of the it is all the negative impacts. So that way, then you're able to let go. So by the benefit of letting go brings happiness. Happiness could result if you let go. But instead, you believe that pursuing self-interest will bring happiness, and thus sink ever deeper into suffering as though you crave it. You see, so this is a very our human nature. Do not wish suffering, but then like willingly cultivate causes of suffering. Wish happiness, but then like willingly, chase away the causes and conditions of happiness. So this is also a play of the trick of ignorant, the self-grasping ignorant, and this is how we behave. You see, we have a least interest. Compare with all the other interests that we have, interest of desire, interest of all the delusions, and the interest towards emptiness view, interest towards altruistic view, altruistic attitude is so little, comparing so little. The interest that we invest in our day-to-day life for dharma and for worldly. For dharma is so little. For worldly is like abundance, majority of our time. You see. Then even a serious practitioner, within 24 hours, the amount of time that we meditate, we contemplate, we study dharma, and amount of time that we don't, is much more longer, much more greater, like that. You see. So even when we meditate, when we study, when we contemplate, the amount of the concentration that we invest is so little compared to wandering mind. You see. So so it's like that. So as Shantideva stated, whatever suffering in the world arises from wishing for one's own happiness. Whatever happiness in the world arises from wishing for others' happiness. What need is there to say more? The childish pursue their own interests, while the Buddha act for the welfare of others. Observe the difference between these two. Like we always chant this in Guru Puja. You see, it's a deep meditation. It's a sometimes we ourselves, due to strong influence of the ignorant, we still not sure about, like if you work for the well-being of other, is really true that will bring genuine happiness to myself. you know how possible if I don't work for myself, I don't fulfill my demand. Our demands are demand of attachment, demand of etc. All the delusion. If I don't demand that, then how can I gain things that which I wish for? You see, so sometimes we have that kind of difficulties because of too strong imprint of the ignorance from the past. So in that way, it's beneficial to refer to example. You see, the samsaric sentient beings are like a childish being. Bodhisattvas and Buddhas are like, Buddhas are, here what it says. So when you look at the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, how they become Buddha, how they become Bodhisattva, how they become even these marvelous gurus, even in our human life, the human guru, and they are, the guru, the qualified gurus, how they live a life, how meaningfully they live a life, meaningful in the sense, not just cultivation of virtue, but just the happiness, the peace, how much they enjoy. And these are very clear example. Clear example, the benefit of cherishing others' well-being. You see, and I don't know about you, but like myself, cherishing for yourself, then like so much samsaric, challenges, troubles, you know, uh, uh, you know, up to now we already experience, these stages of aging, but still not wake up. We already experience so many health, different level of issues, but still not wake up. Still, don't realize where this is coming from. You see, uh, so therefore, referring to the Buddhas and our gurus and those really living examples of peace, happiness, transformation, enlightened qualities, very much on the basis of cherishing others' well-being, and those who suffer, like the suffering beings, is very much due to this cherishing to your own well-being. So among all the afflictions that have harmed you since beginningless time, this self-grasping is the worst. This jealous, evil-ridden force that makes beings commit negative act against all other beings, from high spiritual teacher to lies, reside right here in you. You see, so due to this self-grasping and self-cherishing, ignorant, we not only harm to this innocent, vulnerable, like insects, like lice, like that, but we also do harm to even our spiritual gurus, spiritual teachers. We talk, some who learn Dharma long time, who study Dharma, who some are even who preach Dharma, and some are even who hold a vow, then there are spiritual teachers that who are revealing, Dharma to their followers. We even cause harm to them. People do even cause harm to them. Worse than that, uh, there are people that who even cause harm to your own direct spiritual teachers, who criticize our own spiritual teachers. You see, so all these are nothing other than self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude. It's just being smart of self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude, not being smart, not being real smart, or not being, you see, wise. We say we fight for the freedom of this and that. When we cause harm to even one single being, we are not fighting. We are, in the altruistic Dharma, as long as you harm to even one being, you are not fighting for freedom. You're not fighting for well-being of this and that. You see, so that's why here in the teaching here, say Chibuchi can give an example from teacher to lies. You see, teacher to lies. There's a huge meaning there. So teacher, spiritual guru is, in our spiritual practice, is the highest. Then the lies, in our day-to-day life, we regard is one of the smallest. Generally, of course, you can talk about micro beings, etc. But like in Tibet, in Himalayas, or in remote places, maybe around the world, those who don't understand the value of cherishing others' well-being, they spend whole day like a monkey, take their lies from their head and they crush in between the two thumbnail like that, chuck like that, and people laugh, people enjoy the sound of the smashing the lies. You see, like that. They feel fun, or they feel like they're caring, especially, even there are many, like the mother or the someone, to their children, like caring for your children. So you take the lies out from their head or from their body, lies out, then you crush in between the two thumbnail, and as if you're caring for your child, but you are causing life, you're harming to the lies. Didn't realize that. You see. So this is giving example. You say, I'm caring for somebody, therefore I must harm, here and there. You see. So as a spiritual practitioner, especially Mayanic Dharma practitioner, as a Buddha Dharma practitioner, as long as you cause harm to one being, even a lies, so no question of a human being, especially there are human beings that who themselves benefiting, based on their own circle of karmic beings. We are not positioned to, cause harm. So in the practice of altruism, it's like that. You see, we can give advice, wise advice to bring the benefit for the both sides, but not by harming one side and try to as if you're helping other side. So we human make immense of faults in this area. You see, so not just in physical verbal action, but even in our attitude. We always have to be wise and neutral to all sentient beings. Loved one, enemy, whoever from the object side, they try to show as they are your loved one, or someone try to show as they are as your enemy. But from your side, as a practitioner of Lojong, as a practitioner of altruism, great compassion, bodhicitta, all are equal, all are same. We have to handle wisely. If someone is criticizing you, then you have to handle wisely without hurting that person. You rather benefit that person, you see. But you see, so like that. So this is a very, very, very something have to be very careful. It obstructs the attainment of the freedom from silent existence and ties being further into bondage. So why we need to avoid, as whatever mentioned before, because that obstruct attainment of our spiritual growth. Okay, so that's why there are people who, even within even within sanghas, within the lay practitioners, or even within the retreaters, some individual become very wild, become very, very, very nasty, worse than someone never met Dharma. Totally opposite. So these are in Tibetan language, chertip is a pollution of Dharma. You listen a lot of Dharma, you study a lot of Dharma, but wrong motivation, and didn't know how to practice. That's why it become pollution to your mind. It's like like cloth or what's it? Is the water supposed to extinguish fire? The water went on fire, then nothing can subdue the fire, isn't it? So like that. Give an example like that. You see. So through Dharma study, you become wild. You behave like the worldly way. You see. After study Dharma, behave like a worldly way. You see. You see. Then it's like pollution. Dharma is not a pollution, but then you formulate, and it become like pollution to your mind. Then very difficult to subdue. No question about attainment in the path, but become a great obscuration. Then that will, you see, being into further into a bondage. You see, heavier obstructions, heavier obscurations, like that. So this owl-headed betrayer is the very mind that grasps onto I or self and seek only its own selfish end. Thinking in this manner, you should recognize the enemy as an enemy. So as Shantideva stated, within all the hundreds of world systems of silent existence, this has harmed me. Rouse your vengeance thus and destroy thoughts of self-interest. If you still feel unable to eradicate this self-grasping, then cultivate the following thoughts. This time it is different. Today I have sought the spiritual teacher. I have read the sutras, and as a result, I have now recognized the enemy. It has, so as it's stated here, it has been stated, the old day when you could ruin me at will are now gone. I can see you now, so where are you off to? I shall tear down your arrogance. So this, you can think like that. Contemplate along this line, and whenever any self-centered thoughts arise, the master says you should be cognizant and strike at the snout of its bow with a can. Therefore, it was taught that as far as the subject matter of all the teachings of the Great Vehicle is concerned, there are only two themes: totally letting go of self-grasping and upholding sentient beings with a deep concern. And on this basis, crippling this self-grasping as much as you can and nurturing the sentient being as much as you can. So two jobs only: eliminating self-grasping and developing, cherishing to all sentient beings' well-being. So this is the true spiritual main job. Furthermore, since all the sacred scriptures and treatises were taught for the purpose of subduing the affliction, it is the affliction that must be subdued by means of them. In general, there are 84,000 afflictions, all of which, when subdued, fall into the 212 classes. When subsumed, they in the turn fall into the class of 6 root afflictions and 20 derivative afflictions. So these two can be further subsumed into the 5 or 3 poisons. When subsumed further, they are reduced into a single affliction, namely the self-grasping alone. He who has subdued it to the highest degree enjoy the highest degree of happiness, to the medium degree of happiness, and to the minimal degree, the minimal degree of happiness. So as I mentioned before, self-grasping got many degrees, gross to the subtle. So you see, so the greater that you eliminate, the greater the happiness you enjoy, the freedom you enjoy. He who has not subdued it or any degree will enjoy no happiness at all. So the root of the suffering is self-grasping, and since all faults and defects are contingent upon this, you must from now on abandon any clinging to your body and mind, and instead regard them as your enemy. So self-grasping to the self-I, and self-grasping to the basis. This is talking about the grasping to the basis and grasping to the identity. This has to eliminate. It's not talking about regard your body and your self being as enemy. Most importantly, you must abandon your clinging to the body. On this, you see, as I mentioned before, most importantly, you must abandon your clinging to the body. So as long as there's a clinging to the body, there's a self-grasping attitude. You see. So as Nagarjuna says, so you need to not only meditate on the process of meditation. First, you start with the self identity. Then you do onto the aggregates. Then onto the rest of phenomena, like that. But not stop just on the self identity and believing that you will achieve the emptiness of self. So without achieving the emptiness of its basis, won't achieve absolute emptiness of the self. On this point, Shantideva states, if I am attached to my body, fear arises from every single danger. This body that brings so much fear, who would not detest it like an enemy? So the body, the grasping towards in relation to the body, grasping in relation to the attachment to the body, grasping in relation to the aversion, of getting harm. All these fears arises as long as the body is there. So meaning the grasping has to be eliminated in relation to the body. So for that, reflect like this. Although I have strived hard since beginningless time to benefit this body, it is in the nature of the material object and feel no joy or pain in the relation to any benefit or injury. As for the mind, it is devoid of the substantial reality and empty. Since what appears conventionally right now comes into being from the cause and condition, it is devoid of self-defining identity. So whatever that you experience is the conventional, it exists in a conceptual, actualization based on the causality. But in actual reality, when you go to investigate thoroughly one by one on the events or on the phenomena, then there's not even one substance that you can able to say that this is the self or this is the thing. So like that. So it's devoid of self-defining identity. So there's no self-defining identity on any activities, any experiences, any things that we conventionally we engage, in in a relative truth. The conventional relative truth is truth to the conventional mind, but is not ultimate truth. So therefore, even though there's a presentation of true truth, but ultimately there's only one truth, which is the ultimate truth. You see, so the conventional truth is the truth to the conventional mind, conventional reality. But that conventional reality, when you examine, there's no what you call the there's no self-defining identity in conventional reality. Furthermore, since the cause and effect sees every moment, there's nothing that is established following its origination. Therefore, you should think, in the past I have been preoccupied with the worthless, ruinous pursuit. Now I shall regard my own self as enemy and shall call upon all 8 classes of the worldly gods, demigods, and demons, and all 80,000 families of the obstructive forces to withdraw their support of this self. You see, all the adversities are very much, expressions, very much result and expressions of delusions and karma, isn't it? So delusions are very much expressions of, very much, very much, force that which given this different type of names, and different type of, beings out there that bring harms to you. You see, so now asking to withdraw their support. So that's why, there's a prayers like Dharma offerings and protector prayers, etc. It has its benefit to dispel the withdrawal of the harm givers and bring the conducive conditions to overcome the adversities. Train with the thought, be my ally and help vanquish this self-grasping, help make my 5 aggregates devoid of substantial reality and empty. So things like that. By engaging in this practice, the master entreated, strive to the best of your ability to subdue self-grasping demon during your brief life. So So what this is what the Shaboba, great Kadamba master Shaboba stated. So long as we fail to see our own self as enemy, no one, including our teacher, can save us. If we see it as enemy, benefit will ensure. You see. So as long as we don't eliminate self-grasping, then even this power or this it's very difficult to help us. All the external help will be very difficult to help. The greatest help we receive is from our spiritual guru, and even that would be very difficult if our inner transformation is not there. So if you view your own self as enemy, even when harms caused by hosts of the non-humans and malevolent elemental spirit befall you, this become harm perpetrated against the enemy. So like that. So they become aids in your battling against self-grasping. You see, so someone that who really targeting to eradicate the self-grasping attitudes, someone who live in the practice like what teaching taught here, then all the harms in fact become beneficial. It won't harm you. In fact, it become assistant to purify the self-grasping. Since there are powerful army on your side, it is inappropriate to generate anger towards this agent of harms. Rather, you should look on them with joy. So
such practitioner will have this kind of attitude. At some point in the future, the master said, there will emerge a true spiritual practice that can free you from the narrow gorges of the adverse condition. At that point, you should train in the recognition of others as a friend. In this manner, train now to distinguish between self and others as enemy and friend, respectively. Many of you have received teaching from His Holiness, received initiation from His Holiness. So usually, during any initiation, there's dispelling hindrances by offering Gektor Torma to the interference, isn't it? His Holiness, in the past few years' time now, His Holiness don't do that. And His Holiness says, in the practice, he practiced compassion, bodhicitta. Is in the heart of bodhicitta, in the practice of bodhicitta and compassion, then there's no enemy, there's no harm giver. You see, so everyone is same, like that. Then there's also a story. There's one master that master. There's a force of non-human spirits want to harm. There's one master who always whose main practice is great compassion and bodhicitta. Then the force wanted to harm this practitioner. Then there's other force of the spirit came and said that how you cannot harm this person, because this person cherish us more than cherish himself. This person want happiness in us more than himself. So therefore, how can we harm him? Another spirit give a suggestion to the other spirit to realize this, and that way, these harm givers are dismissed from there, like that. So, there is an existence of spirit, non-human, human harms. So the best antidote, best way is, to not to retaliate, rather generate great compassion and bodhicitta, like that. Occasionally, you should train your mind also by drawing a distinction between enemy and friend, even within yourself. So you can give your lay name to your thoughts and action concerned with the pursuit of your own welfare, as your ordination name to your thoughts and action concerned with the pursuit of others' welfare. So you can train like that. It is a mental exercise. An example, if you, many of you have a refuge vow, and so you put your position as some before you had the refuge, and now you had the refuge. You train yourself to be supportive of the one that who cultivate refuge, which is the essence vow is, helping others and refraining from causing harm to others. Then, similar way what explained here, like that. So you can do that to the higher lower vow to the higher vow, like that. So there's a many platform to get to train, eventually that you can absolutely develop, total cherishing of others' well-being and total eradication of self-grasping. So you can use many methods, because it has to use many methods. One method alone, it doesn't work, because it is very concrete, grasping. You see, it's not easy to overcome. So according with this teachings, there are so many suggestions that we can learn. Then, following the example of the spiritual mentor Ben, correlate your arm right and left to avoidance of the non-virtuous and adoption of the virtuous acts. You can also use, like what the Master Ben recommended. You can use your two hand, like in the training of generosity, like we use the two hand, right hand to give to left hand, etc. So even for this practice, you can use that. The spiritual master Ben stated that I have no other task than to stand guard with the short spear of antidote at the entrance of my mind. When the afflictions are vigilant, I too am vigilant. When they are relaxed, I too am relaxed. Also, you should be vigilant and strike at the snout of each bow with the can and chase it. Or yeah, so hitting, giving the example of bow and can and chasing it. There's some other sutras also give such examples. All the sutras and the commentaries treatise too demonstrate that there is no task other than the eliminating self-grasping. So all the sutras say the same thing. So this then presents the viewing of oneself as enemy and the culmination of the self-grasping. Because of the Shabova's teaching, the expression, the practice of smashing the demon's head evolved. So the earlier, very, focus practice to eliminate the self-grasping and adopting the practice of cherishing others is very much the Kadamba master Shabova's teaching. The teaching very much in relation to the Shabova's expressions, Shabova's way of overcoming self-grasping and actualizing the cherishing of others. So like that. Okay, so I will stop here. And yes, sorry for taking longer time. I think half an hour long. Yeah, so for the coming days, beside all the regular practices, then here, try to recognize clearly the different phases of the self-grasping attitude. Then try to see it is absolute false. Then try to eliminate, by reducing its intensity and its frequency involvement in our day-to-day activities of body, speech, and mind. And try to occupy our state of mind as much as possible, in the concern of the well-being of numberless sentient beings, starting from your own present mother, present, loved one, and to the rest of the sentient beings. So like that. Okay, so we will stop here. We will do short dedication prayer. So please kindly dedicate this collective merit to the eradications of the general and individual suffering of the 6 realms, and actualize temporary happiness after the ultimate happiness of the full enlightenment. And also dedicate to all the beings who pass away, in particularly within last 49 days, and specifically here, Venerable Chökyila informed me that Garath Brayback passed away suddenly, I think today, from heart attack. Who in fact has intention to even get an ordination like that, but so uncertain, pass away. So please dedicate our collective merit for Garath to overcome all the hallucinational distractions, through the death process, and able to actualize the full benefit of clear light into path, and able to, if necessary, to pass through the intermediate state, then may overcome all the hallucinational challenges through intermediate state, and actualize perfect, higher rebirth, where
able to meet perfect mind in Guru, practice complete path, and actualize full enlightenment within that very lifetime. And also dedicate all the people who request prayers dedication from you, prayers dedication from me. So we collectively here dedicate all our prayers for them to actualize whatever wishes that they have. And also there's a lot of natural disasters like such as heavy rain, flood going around in the Southeast Asian countries. And also there are a lot of suffering of drought, there are a lot of suffering of other elemental disturbances. May this merit be complete cause to overcome that. And may this collective merit be complete cause to actualize loving kindness, compassionate heart in all the world leaders, leader of the communities, leader of organizations, leader of families, and each and every single sentient being, each and every one of us, actualize the heart of loving kindness, compassion. And may this collective merit be complete cause to this pandemic crisis to be overcome soonest, actualize all the necessary antidotes, medicines to each and every one, and able to live normality with full of loving kindness, compassion. Dedicate this collective merit to the long life of all the beneficial beings, like His Holiness Dalai Lama, Geshe Lama Supremacy, all your spiritual gurus, all your families, all yourself, and everyone to have a long, healthy life, fulfill all the aspirations accordingly. May this collective merit be complete cause to overcome all the coronavirus challenges that also some of the monasteries are facing. And may all the great sanghas who are source of preserving the Buddha Dharma, both in extensive learning and practice, to never to encounter any form of distractions, obstacles, and actualize healthy, long life and fulfill the aspirations of Lama Tsongkhapa in extensive learning and practice realizations. And in short, may ourselves and every being able to practice according with these Lojong teachings. Thank you very much, and take care. Have a good day ahead. Thank you. Bye-bye.